been paying attention to any rugby league news over the last, basically 3 months, you see it pretty much all of it is about the NRL CBA. So let's get actually into a discussion about what is going on between the RLPA and the NRL. So first of all, one of the things we need to know is what is actually a CBA. And so by definition, the CBA is the result of an extensive negotiation process between the parties regarding topics such as wage, hours, and terms and conditions of employment. Now, the initial deadline for the CBA for the 2023 season coming up was actually October of 2022, which is why things are starting to really heat up because they're very overdue. But yeah, still haven't been able to come to an agreement regarding the CBA because both the RLPA and the NRL don't want to budge. Now, we're going to start getting into it, but this is going to let you guys know that this is going to be from a bit of a player's side because pretty much everything I've seen from the mainstream media is going towards the NRL's side, so I'm going to stick up for the players a little bit here. But so to begin with, what are the RLPA seeking? So after they've taken some pay cuts over COVID years, the players are seeking an increase in pay, which is to be agreed upon between the RLPA and the NRL. They're seeking an increase of the minimum wage for players to become 150k a season, which currently sits at 120k, and then with the new salary cap, which we'll get into in a bit, it's only increased to 125. But they also want to keep their players' share of the revenue the same, and also the players are seeking funding for past players, as well as injury protection if a player's career is ended due to unfortunate circumstances. It is believed that they are also looking for increased welfare, for example, like an agreement on if changes occur in the NRL, in terms, let's just say for example, fines are increased at a greater rate than their wages are. The NRL and the RLPA both need to agree upon that before a change like that can occur. They're also looking for tertiary education programs. I know in the under 20s and stuff now, you have to either be doing an apprenticeship or be going to uni to actually play. So I think that's some of the older boys missed out on that and won't have any qualifications once they retire. So they're looking for some sort of compensation with that. 2023 CBA also marks the first time which the NRLW will be trying to have a CBA, and the RLPA demands are as follows. They want an established salary cap with a minimum wage, a pregnancy policy, which I believe will work with the same way as the maternity leave, as well as a 3M Origin series, which the NRL has already backflipped on because they were going to do it for 2023, but they've made it 2 again for next season. So now we know what the RLPA want. This is where the issue lies. The NRL have announced a new salary cap, which was not agreed upon between both the NRL and the RLPA, which, as we spoke before, one of the things that part of the CBA is agreeing on wages. So within the salary cap, the true salary cap for the top 30 players is increasing from 9.9 million to 10.8 million. And as I spoke about before, the increase in the minimum wage is 5k from 120 to 125k, which is an increase of about 4%, which is still a handy pay rise, but the NRL's revenue has increased by over 25%, so it's in nowhere near at increasing at the same rate. And with the NRL player benefits not increasing at the same rate, it also becomes likely that other aspects of the CBA, such as retirement funds, past player and transition programs, medical support funds, and the injury hardship fund will likely go underfunded and potentially not even be able to exist because there's no money for it at all. And over the course of history with CBAs and that sort of thing, players have historically received about 37.4% of NRL gross revenues. For this current salary cap that the NRL have released, that sits at 33.6%. So that's around about a 4% decrease in the actual revenue percentage that they're seeing, while the NRL is increasing their revenue by 25%. So it's a bit of a step backwards, and they're not increasing at the same rate, which is why the RLPA are kicking up a stink. They're also that's just the issues with the men's game. The women's game, it's disgusting what the NRL governing body is doing. So even though it's one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and the skill level is getting better every single year because these girls are getting more and more time to actually learn their craft. So the women actually don't know when their season is scheduled to begin this season, or how long it's going to run for, or how much they'll get paid, if they're protected by injury, and no player is able to be actually offered a contract until the salary cap is confirmed. So basically, the women's game is up in the air right now. And my concern, especially in the women's game, is that players are going to leave for rugby union. They earn a lot more money, it's set up a lot better, and they have some job security and that sort of thing over in rugby union. So I'm a little bit scared that women's game is going to fall off a cliff. Same with the men's game. If you're Joseph Suaalii and you've got all these $1 million contracts coming in from rugby union, and there's a World Cup this year, are you going to look at that, especially considering that you don't even know if the NRL is going to kick off at the start of the season. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that in terms of for like rugby league. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see players boycott the start of the season, go on strike. We're already seeing multiple clubs like not attend their media responsibilities, like starting with the Sharks and the Dragons and that sort of thing. And I think it was rumoured that like Storm, Roosters and Penrith weren't going to do theirs either. And so like that's also like their promotional duties for the 2023 season. So like the NRL is going to be stuck with like maybe 2 clubs, and like so it's a bit of a kick in the face for them. But I hope it does get solved soon, because it's getting very ugly. Like the last thing rugby league needs right now is another Super League war kind of thing like that. I sort of see the NRL and the RLPA negotiations sort of like why they're stagnating. As I said, like it's quite player-centric video, but let me know if there's any like little details and stuff that I missed, because there's obviously going to be a few. Like I just sort of, this is what I saw from a bit of research, but also like what do you think about the situation and where do you think this is all headed?